People, Deluded, I'm back again. There is really no point of this vid, so I'm just going to go left, right and centre with it, but it is what it is. I've just got some general thoughts in regards to some new signings, players I currently admire playing for these current clubs, players I've historically admired playing for these current Premier League clubs. So let's just get into it, man. There's nothing more to speak about, really and truly. I've done it in a list, really, of how the league table finished, or at least I hope it was. But in relation to Liverpool, current day, I mean, it's hard not to admire what Trent Alexander-Arnold is doing at fullback. You've also got Mo Salah. You know, he's a very good player in the Premier League since he's come back with Liverpool. I mean, you know, you can't mention Liverpool and not mention Mr. Liverpool and Steven Gerrard. I had a lot of time for Fernando Torres, as did I, Xabi Alonso. And I really liked Mascherano for his little piece at Liverpool as well, really and truly. But if I had to really whittle it down, it'd be these lot. I wouldn't say Craig Bellamy was the best of players at Liverpool, but I used to watch YouTube videos of him and try and mimic him. There's a lot of players I used to do that with as well, people growing up. So I'd say that. There's many Liverpool players I wish I was old enough to comprehend and actually see play. Dalglish should probably be the best one, but it is what it is. Manchester City, the same logic applies. But if it came to it, it'd more or less be the hallmark, the man that I call as the hallmarks of when the City kind of dynasty started and they changed owners. So it's obviously going to be the Dzekos, the companies, the Fernandinho took a bit later, but Fernandinho as well. Zabaleta, just for, you know, deserves an honourable mention. Had a lot of time for Tevez, both at City and United. You know, you can't not mention Sergio Aguero. There's David Silva. And I'm probably going to miss out several players, people. Kevin De Bruyne has been sick. I think David Silva would probably be the best City player for me out of the lot. But tie between him and Sergio, really. So it'd probably be them. Leicester is a difficult one, really, but if I had to be pushed to it, you know, Wes Morgan did what Koscielny couldn't and led a team to the Premier League title. And he's obviously Jamaican as well, so there's him. I mean, you know, how can you not admire Mahrez? Mahrez is probably the biggest one for me. Jamie Vardy, absolute gunman for Leicester. How can you not mention him? And you also had N'Golo Kante, who's obviously now of Chelsea, similar to Mahrez now at City. But you get the point. In relation to, obviously, and for City in relation to the modern day as well, there's obviously the Raheem Sterlings, the Sanes, the Bernardo Silvas, every player really. Being a bit controversial, I don't really feel Mendy, you know. I think Mendy's a bit overrated. I think he's a good player, but I do think he'd be a bit more scrutinised, really. And I think when you really look at City's fullbacks, they should really be scrutinised a bit more. I think Walker's okay, but he's been a bit iffy at times, but my issue more or less is with Mendy. I don't really see... I know Mendy's good going forward and he's a decent player, but I do think he's a bit overrated, I'm not going to lie. My opinion is I'm willing to change that if other evidence is there. Yeah. So, yeah, moving to Chelsea. He used to bully us, but he's a player I used to admire a lot. Didier Drogba, you know, their current manager, Frank Lampard. Not Terry for me, due to obviously the Anton Ferdinand thing, but, you know... You kind of got to mention John Terry, but not for me personally. Ashley Cole can't get mentioned with the Arsenal lot, so I'm going to put him here. I think Mata was very good for Chelsea in the little purple patch he had. Weird one would be Gudjonsson. I really liked Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank as well growing up. I liked Carvalho. I liked Joe Cole. Had a lot of time for Damien Duff. Don't think Robin was his best at Chelsea, but he was a bit of a unique one to watch for me. You obviously had Makelele, and you can't not mention Essien. Yeah, man, so that would be it from a Chelsea perspective. And there's also, don't let me forget Peter Cech as well. You know, quality goalkeeper. For me, him, Casillas, Buffon, quality at one stage, man. There was quality in abundance in terms of goalkeepers and everywhere. For Wolves, there's not really anyone. For Sheffield, there's not really anyone. For Spurs, a bit controversial. I thought Van der Vaart was okay, because there was a period, let's be honest, Spurs just had shit ballers. And Van der Vaart was a baller. He was a bit of a see you next Tuesday against Arsenal, and he just reminded me of them annoying players, them annoying posh players, but he was a baller. You obviously had Luka Modric as well. You obviously had Gareth Bale. You can't not mention them. Current day, Harry Kane's a baller. Dele Alli is not playing anything like he's been playing in his, you know, since he went to Spurs. But I like Dele. I just think he's in a poor patch at the moment. I'm a big fan of Ndombele, but he's not playing like anyone should be a fan of him really, whether it's Jose or him. So they're current day ones. Berbatov obviously ties into United and Spurs, but Berbatov was probably the one Spurs player that, between him and Jermaine Defoe as well, you know, you just had to salute, because Berbatov was a baller, and you know, I like the Bergkamps, the Berbatovs, the Mesut Ozils, I did a little slide plug of Ozil there, the poetry in motion, the sort of playing football at their own pace sort of thing. It was mad. Defoe, I don't know, man. I think Defoe has the streets, man. Like, Defoe's mandem. I used to like Robbie Keane's celebrations and get in trouble doing them in primary school. I liked Kyle Walker at right back. Danny Rose is a cool guy, so I'm going to add him. I used to work at Spurs, and Danny Rose is probably one of the coolest ballers I've met, really. Very down to earth. Like, I was meant to be working. He was meant to be... He weren't in the side, but he spent 5 minutes chatting with us about football and all these things, taking pictures and stuff when he had people waiting on him. So I'm just going to add Rose for just being a nice guy. I've said Robbie Keane. I've said Defoe. It's not really anyone else, man. We're spending too long on that club, that small club from down the lane. That's actually closer to my house than Arsenal. Moving forward, when it comes to Arsenal, it's a difficult one. Obviously, I didn't really get to see Ian Wright in his prime. When I was coming of age, Ian Wright's career was winding down, so I never got to see him in his prime at Arsenal. But the tapes, the videos, the footage, it's got to be Ian Wright. It's like him and Thierry Henry have to be there if you're an Arsenal fan. I don't need to say Tony Adams either, and whatnot. If you had to push me for 3 names, I would probably say, not probably, it's Thierry effing Henry, man. Like, Thierry Henry, like, it's Thierry Henry, like, Thierry, Patrick, probably say Dennis as well, Iceman. I feel guilty, man. I got to just hail up Perez. I feel, you know what, there's bare, man, I feel guilty about not listening for Arsenal. In current day, if you were talking about, like, Emirates and that, Aubameyang, Santi, Ozil, Alexis Sanchez, Arshavin, because, you know, I don't think he did as much as them, but he had the streets. I wouldn't really say they're up there for me, but I had a lot of time for Thomas Rosicky and Diaby, obviously robbed of a career through injury. Is what it is in that regards, people. Arsenal's the easiest one. I wish I got to see a bit more of Ian Wright. I wish I got to see Brady play. Wish I got to see Merson, really. I wish I got to see a lot of the players that you lot say is Maverick players. I wish I got to see a lot of people, really. Wish I got to see Rocastle play. Fucking hell, what a player. Based on what I have been able to see. Pardon my language, people. Burnley, there's no one. But shout out to current day McNeil. I actually think Dwight McNeil, if he became a wing-back, I think he could get into the England side, or I think he could get a top 6 move. He's a decent wide man, of course, but I just think there's the option of him becoming a winger. For Everton, there's not many, really, and Yakubu's probably more known for his time at Middlesbrough, but I feel Yakubu's played in Everton shirt. I can salute him. Duncan Ferguson, really. I liked Baines. Rooney, when he was coming on, I guess I'll throw him into that, but... It's forcing it. Everton's forcing it. Not really anyone from Everton, really. I liked Baines because, obviously, when I was trying to be a footballer and I'm looking at fullbacks, I liked Baines, how Baines just carried himself. The main reference point with Dani Alves, or trying to be like him or Lam, but I really had a lot of time for Baines. Current day, obviously, Iwobi's a former Arsenal man. I'm a big Richarlison fan. I like a couple of their players, but that's probably about it. Man United, and my friends are probably watching this. I don't really want to even talk about it. But, current day, got a lot of time for Marcus Rashford, Martial. Pogba for all. You know, the name Pogba is just type his name in on Google. But Pogba's a baller. Got a lot of time for Greenwood, the young G. Bruno Fernandes has been there for 2 minutes, but he looks like he's a baller and he's someone, you know, clearly. So there's them. Obviously, you've got to big up Van der Sar as well in goal. Historically, Van der Sar, Roy Keane, because I really liked trying to be like Roy Keane as well, and Patrick. But Roy Keane, Ji-sung Park, Evra, Wazza. I'm purposely not saying Cristiano Ronaldo because clearly he's there. Nani, because he was just disrespectful, man. Like, as much as Rooney, Nani, Jogba, like, them man there just used to ruin us. Like, just Nani less much in terms of goals. He used to bag, but he just mad. You lot have seen what this guy used to, just mad disrespectful to us. But I like that. Obviously, I don't like it happening to my club, but I like that sort of stuff, people. Villa, there's not really anyone. Shout out to the Yorks, the Angels, the Dion Dublins, the Barrys, the Petrovs and whatnot. Had a lot of time for James Milner and Ashley Young under Martin O'Neill there, but really forcing it. Current day, I like McGinn and Grealish, and I think they're two players that will get a move to the Premier League if, what's anticipated, Aston Villa go down. I don't think I'm missing any clubs out, and if I am, Wolves, Leicester, apologies, people. Pardon me, I think I've said them, but if I missed them out, apologies. Now, based on how the Premier League season's gone, I think I've done top 5 humble pie, players that have proved me wrong. I'm clutching straws a bit with Leno, but I think I weren't really convinced on Leno. I could recognise that he was a good shot stopper and things, but I had reservations about him generally as a goalie, and I still do have some. But this season, while he hasn't been perfect and his distribution and sometimes he parries shots are still concerns, he's convinced me a bit more, and he's one of the few Arsenal players I've got some complete confidence sort of thing in, or close to that, people. So I'd say him. From an Arsenal perspective as well, would I ever thought Mustafi, when speaking about a starting lineup, being one of the first names on the team sheet potentially? It'd be no. Credit where due. I mean, it sounds silly to say get rid of Mustafi now, even though form, can judge a lot. But Mustafi's got to be there. I know we all enjoyed getting that from Man United's Fred because he didn't hit the heights, but he's found a niche in himself, and I really like how he's playing, man. He obviously the way he's playing, he's not going to draw any headlines in the way United are, but I think him, Matic to a degree as well, their form has kind of helped United's little surge towards top 4, if you could say that. So I think Fred has been decent. Tammy Abraham and Calvert-Lewin, Tammy's proven he could score goals and he shut me right up. Calvert-Lewin the same. Two players that, obviously with the Euros being postponed, that looked like they were going there, people. In relation to top signings, it's a bit of it's a tough one, really. And I really need more time to think of this, so I'll try to do rapid fire. Again, I'm not in no particular order. I think Bruno Fernandes, I just think he's a baller, so I'm going to say him. I think it's technically cheating, but a loan again for Dean Henderson to Sheffield United has been played, it's been a good move. I think Brighton's Mupé, I'm not saying it's the best sign and whatnot, but anytime I watch Brighton, he looks like one of the only half decent ones. I'd say out of the list I've got, Danny Ings would probably be the biggest one, because again, he was there already kind of thing last season, but like I said with Calvert-Lewin and Tammy, he's scoring goals, Kane, if fit, Rashford, if fit, will go and potentially could be used as strikers before them. Maybe even Sterling, false 9 the same. But, I feel Danny Ings has done all he can this season to get a call up, and he's been clinical in front of goal. Same goes for Tammy and obviously Calvert-Lewin. So Ings is there for me. Being a bit of a cheater and an Arsenal fan, we've not had much to speak about, but I'm going to say Martinelli, man. Come on. Yeah, I'm not saying he's hit the world of light and the Premier Light and he needs to win Young PFA Player of the Year, but come on, nice. That's a good signing. So let's throw that one in there. Little Arsenal plug. In relation to flops, this is where it gets political. I'd say Adrian of Liverpool. I'd say Haller of West Ham. He's got 7 goals or so in the Premier all comps. He was fairly more prolific at Frankfurt and Utrecht before that. I thought he would have hit the ground running a bit more as well, people. So I'd say Haller. I think the biggest flop is actually Joe Linton. I think he's only got a single goal in however many appearances for Newcastle. I think that came against Spurs. I could be wrong. So if it did, at least you picked when to score. But Joe Linton, and the only reason I know about Joe Linton and knew about him, and when they signed him I did have some concerns, is purely because through watching Reece Nelson at Hoffenheim, when you think of Joe Linton, you think of a powerhouse. He's very raw, but the goal scoring was a bit not there. Now he's in his early 20s, so there is time to develop, but you'd wonder what scout of Newcastle signed off for that one, people, because Hoffenheim must have been laughing. They had him there for 2 seconds and made a little profit. So I think they've been quite poor. I think if they were at other clubs, and I know I might sound like I've got an agenda against Manchester City, but Angelino and Cancelo a bit less, but I think Angelino definitely was a flop. Like, he's been shifted off to Leipzig and already looking like the player that he was looking like prior to City buying him back, but undoubtedly a failure. Cancelo the same. How much did they spend on these players, people? Let's find out, man. Angelino signs for Man City. Yeah, how much did it cost, man? Alright, fair enough. 5 million. Alright, cool. 5 million. You're good. You're good. But let's see Cancelo. And I'm sure that was a young 50. 60 million. But the fee is at 34.1 million, and I'm sure there's add-ons, and they probably remember Danilo went there, so a bit of it is probably, yeah, dead. If it was any other, yeah, dead. Nah, I'm not having it. It hasn't worked. You've obviously got Everton's Moise Kean, someone I thought would have a better start to Prem, because watching him at youth level for Italy, even before he got sold by Juventus, he was coming off the bench and scoring. Would have thought it'd have been better here, but he's had Duncan Ferguson, Marco Silva, and now a new manager. And it just hasn't happened. Carlo's his countryman, and it might turn better, but 3 managers, they've all named their strongest lineup, so if the season was to start again, would Carlo name you in his strongest team? I'm not sure, because you don't fit in. They're going with 2 strikers. Calvert and Richarlison are ahead of you. Theo's been quite poor this season generally, but he's preferred out wide than you, so there must be something wrong with what you're doing, really, or not showing something. So they've got to be there as well. I think Pepe and Ndombele have to be there, and I've got great sympathy for both. I think Pepe is going to be a success in the Prem, but I can't say Ndombele and not say him. I don't think Pepe's been as bad as people make out, but you know, to someone who doesn't care about the fact that he's still developing and, you know, the dynamic of the player he was getting, and just looks at it, you know, you're bought him for 70 million. For me, he should be in shouts for PFA and stuff like that. I can't not go against it. You have to currently say he's a flop, even though I don't fully agree with that in my heart, but we've got to keep it true. Ndombele, I thought that was a steal, people, and it was a steal. You had big clubs after him. Apparently Barca still want him now. Seen as a steal. The technical ability is there clearly, but for whatever reason, it's not working out. Whether it's Jose or him needing to take responsibility, it's not there. I did wonder why he was kind of given a free rein to join Spurs for 60 odd million. Again, he should be turning up week in, week out, despite he needs to develop. But it just hasn't happened for him. The athleticism isn't quite there. Maybe that's the concern clubs had. It's not there. I do see him being able to develop. If it's going to happen under Jose, I don't know, because you know Jose and these sort of things. But he's been decent. Well, he's not been decent, better yet. So you get the point. Away from this, just on a side note, I think if you're talking people from another country, I think Jovic, Griezmann and Hazard have all kind of flopped as well. I know they've all got different situations, but you get the point. In relation to top performers in the Premier League, again, there's no point individually. Well, Wolves, they've been playing well collectively, so held them up. Leicester, the same. Sheffield United, the same people. And obviously Liverpool. But players I truly have, you know, whenever I'm watching, I think they've all right. I actually think Gary Cahill's been okay this season in his respective Crystal Palace team, and he hasn't been faultless. I know Maddison and Raheem Sterling have had dips, but I feel they've had good seasons. Bruno Fernandes, in the little bit he's played. I'm obviously going to plug Bukayo Saka. I think he's been quality whenever he's played. Adama Traore, probably one of the best performers. If you was to name top 3, I'd probably say, just because of his resurgence, I'd probably throw him in there. You've got Mahrez for me, and I'd probably say number 1 is Mane. You know, I'm saying that. There's a certain other Arsenal player, Aubameyang, regardless of his season as a club collective, he's still scoring goals out wide, through the middle, whatever. I think Kevin's been okay when he's played. Got a hail up Calvert-Lewin and Danny Ings again. Jimenez has been decent for me. I feel Rashford's been okay for United as well prior to his injury. In relation to poor players, I think Mings has been poor. It's like the whole of Aston Villa's defence, really. Pogba's been injured and not really had to have a good season, so by default he's got to be there. Mesut fighting Emre, so he's got to be there. Ndombele's got to be there. Pepe got to be there. Dele Alli's been trashed this season, got to be there. Hugo Lloris and even a couple more of the Spurs defenders could be here as well. In relation to the goalies, Lloris, if I haven't said him already, Kepa's been dropped by Chelsea. David De Gea is making uncharacteristic errors almost week in, week out. Of course, I'm exaggerating a bit, but definitely this season there's been more errors from him than need be. And there's a couple of flops at West Ham as well in terms of underperformers in particular. Moving in relation to second season now, or can some of these players settle? I want to speak about Daniel James first, because I think his is a difficult one. Now, I think Daniel James has done very well for himself. He's gone from Swansea to United, and he's been a more important player than he might have initially expected to. He's played more. He's actually had some good games. He's been terrible in many aspects. And I think his fast start to life and playing out of necessity at United, it was a gift and a curse. It's a gift because, you know, it's a new club. It's one of the biggest clubs, if not the biggest in the world. Premier League, everything's working well. The problem is people start asking more questions of him. I'm not saying United fans are saying he's going to be quality, but you know, when you're playing on a regular basis, you're looking at him a bit more like, what's he offer? He's had some good games in big games, and his pace is clearly a problem, but at times his decision making isn't the best. But I mean, he's 22 and he was signed for 10 million or so. To a degree, this could just, in hindsight, be as expected. Could he, you know, maintain that fast start consistently throughout the season? I'm not too sure. I don't know personally. In relation to Ndombele, I think if Ndombele plays and he buys into what Jose wants and he looks to improve himself as a player, there's no reason. The quality is there. It's just probably the athleticism and the professionalism in terms of doing the less glamorous parts of the game. Because he's there. You've seen him in the Champions League. I've watched him since he was Amin's people, Aminyon, however you say their name. And really the first year I started to really take him in was when he moved to Lyon and was there on loan initially. The ability is there, but when you're seeing games in 45 minutes he's not sprinted, it's not going to happen for you here. Now, he could feel a bit aggrieved because allegedly Poch was a big reason for him moving to the club. Poch left, Jose's there, you know, but these things are expected in football, really and truly. I do think he's a player that can score more goals and assists. Something when he signed for Spurs said that's what I need to improve at. He's a decent ball carrier, and his best strength, so he's obviously his final ball and the ability to pass. There is a player within Ndombele. I see no reason why he can't be a success in his second season. The same obviously goes for Nicolas Pepe, who obviously joined from a Ligue 1 side on a similar thing. I think Pepe's been a decent player. The problem is the price tag. If we got a man for 20, there probably would be more question marks, but is what it is. He can't control the price tag. But for me, I am going to be a bit harsher next season on Pepe. I'm not saying I'm going to say you're crap and things like that, because that's not it. I do think there's a player there. I think regardless, him and collectively, we've got better wide options than seeing Mesut Ozil and Mkhitaryan on the flanks last season. And I think he's done all right. Of course, there's been moments he's lost his confidence. Of course, there's been slow periods. But I think he's done all right. At the end of the day, he's Arsenal's 5th top goal scorer right now. He's made 24 appearances in the Prem, getting 4 goals, 6 assists. Clearly, that can improve. But considering he's not always played 90 minutes and stuff, despite the fact he's been given considerable appearances, that adds up to 10 goal contributions in 24. There's something there in the lad. Obviously, I'm kind of saving him a bit and making it look a bit better, but it is what it is. He's got 6 goals in 32 appearances in all comps. And I see something in him. When you see him scoring them 2 free kicks, or in recent weeks, either against Everton and Newcastle, them lovely assists for Aubameyang. When you're seeing the goal against United, doing things for his confidence in big games. He actually played alright against Chelsea too. When you're seeing the little dribble and he should have scored against Sheffield United in the defeat away from home. When you're seeing the dribble against the best centre-half in the Prem, Van Dijk, having the beating of him at Anfield, another game we lost. There's something in there. I do think he's got it in him. For me, he needs to switch it up a bit and have more clarity in what he's doing, because sometimes he wants to dribble for the sake of it. Shoot. Get away, shoot. There's still some adaptation to do, and I think he has improved a bit more. His forms prior to the season ending, in the circumstances, there was a bit of an uptake. Additionally, he's improved defensively. That was a concern. We obviously need goals and assists. He needs to switch up a bit. He needs to link up with his teammates a bit better. He needs to be a bit more proactive and read the picture a bit more. But I think there's something in it. He's 25 in May. He's going to be 26 in a year's time. And we need him to kind of, you know, be that player for the next 3-4 years. And I think it's there with him. I think he could do a decent thing. But the price tag, like with Ndombele, it's always going to go against them people. And there's not much they can do in that regards. You obviously got Joe Linton, short and sweet. 1 goal, 2 assists in 29 appearances. Simply not good enough. Needs to fix it up. Moise Keane as well. At the end of the day, 3 different managers. It's not happened for him. And you've obviously got Cancelo and Angelino. Now, Cancelo, I think he's been decent. But at the end of the day, I think if other team bought him, there'll be more question marks over that sort of spending. Angelino wasn't bought for the biggest fee, and if he does return from Leipzig to City with confidence, then it might be cool for him. Hala, I don't know if he'll do it at West Ham again, honestly. I don't really know people. And maybe Bernardo Fernandes, it might... To be fair, I applaud Bernardo Fernandes for actually adapting mid-season in January. It's very rare that people hit the ground running in Jan like that. But who knows, maybe with a full season, can Bernardo do it all the time, people? Can Bernardo Fernandes do it, like, over, you know, because it'll be his first full season in England with the quality of the games. And with Bernardo, he's looking like, you know, unless something really happens or there's nothing to play for, he's going to play more or less every game for Man United. So can he get his consistency levels up? Will there be a drop-off in quality in his performances? Because you do see it, even the most talented Premier League players, it does happen. There is a natural drop-off. So we'll have to see what happens in that regards, people. But for now, I'm going to keep it moving and get out of it. People, God bless, Deluded. I'm out. Thank you for watching and rocking each and every time.